Tyler Herro's long-term future with the Miami Heat is very much up in the air. And at this point, you can say the same about his immediate role. Miami's offseason moves, or lack thereof, suggest he will be tasked with even more playmaking responsibility. This complication has flown under the radar as people take stock of the Heat's bigger picture. They clearly have designs on stockpiling assets and financial flexibility, and Herro's extension eligibility this October flies in the face of that longer view. He could turn into collateral damage of the long game or become the wrench in their plans. Immediately, though, Miami is clearly aiming to remain competitive in the Western Conference. Head coach Erik Spoelstra may run his rotation in a way that gives off gap year vibes, but the Heat would not have traded for a 32-year-old Norman Powell if it wasn't planning to disprove the low expectations set for them. Ironically enough, it's the Powell acquisition that thrusts Herro's role back into limbo. The Heat need Herro to be more of a floor general. Much like Herro himself, Powell is considered a perimeter play finisher. He brings more rim pressure, but not as much self-creation, and not nearly as much table setting for others. Miami, in fact, altogether punted on pursuing a primary playmaker. Teeing up others is not Davion Mitchell's strong suit. The same goes for Terry Rozier, assuming he even plays, and Drew Smith. Kasparas Giannis may have the floor general gene, but it doesn't seem like he'll get a ton of reps from the jump. Herro stands alone here. He could potentially be joined by Pelle Larsson, but primary playmaker expectations shouldn't be foisted upon someone who's logged fewer than 800 NBA minutes. Most will view this as a bug in the Heat's machine rather than a feature. They're not wrong. Miami would have a better playmaking lifeline in tow if given the choice. Yet, at the same time, their roster construction says a lot about their faith in Herro. Herro could continue leveling up as a passer. Miami's apparent faith in its 25-year-old is far from misplaced. He averaged a career-high 5.5 assists per game last season, while also effectively overhauling his shot distribution. Undergoing that evolution is impressive in a vacuum. It's even more head-turning when it happens amid DEFCON 1 level Jimmy Butler drama. Members of the Heat and their fans shouldn't just be encouraged by the raw numbers, either. Herro has improved his feel as a table setter. His patience, vision, and overall ball control were all noticeably better. Some of the live-dribble bad pass turnovers can be infuriating. They also come with the territory of having such a huge offensive role. The folks over at B-Ball Index developed a passing efficiency metric which analyzes how well a player takes care of the ball as a passer, and does so by comparing rates of bad pass turnovers with expected rates, given the player's ball dominance, how often they're generating shots for teammates, the quality of those shots, and the versatility in pass types executed. Herro finished in the 97th percentile of this category, while averaging around 5.2 high-value assists per 75 possessions, an elite blend of volume and efficiency shared by only 14 other players, almost all of them superstars. Granted, the Heat's offense when he played without Butler didn't sing, but it was around league average. That's a caps lock feat when looking at some of those lineups. Surrounding Herro with someone like Powell should help elevate his playmaking and, as a result, the ceiling of Miami's entire offense. For Miami Heat fans, the 2006 NBA Finals hold a very firm spot in their heart. It's the moment that everything changed for the franchise and when Dwayne Wade made the official jump to superstardom. However, for most basketball fans out of South Florida, that final series is one that very well may have been rigged. It's a narrative that has grown momentum, even almost 20 years later, and it doesn't help that former Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban doesn't let it die. Nevertheless, Wade is out here making sure everyone knows what really happened during that series. And no, it wasn't rigged. Instead, it was the moment when everything began to pay off for a young star in the league. Wade took to social media to tell Mark Cuban to stop that BS. D-Wade on Mark Cuban claiming 2006 Finals versus Mavs was rigged. You're not about to tarnish the work I put in as a young guy, to do something not a lot of young guys have done in this game, and say it's rigged. Y'all got us. We got y'all. Stop that BS. Dwayne Wade's career took off after that 2006 NBA Finals. I think it's pretty easy, and perhaps even lazy, to rip apart what the Heat managed to pull off in that series. But when looking back, it was clear that the Heat, and Wade specifically, completely changed gears during the fourth quarter of Game 3. And once Wade fueled that comeback, to avoid going down 3-0, it's almost as if a switch was flipped for Miami. Led by Wade, who had one of the most dominating NBA Finals performances in NBA history, the Heat outplayed, outschemed, and outlasted the Mavs. Continuing to harp on the rigged narrative does more harm than good. It is pretty crazy how out of the entire framework of the NBA over the last 50 years, it's that one singular NBA Finals series that gets the most scrutiny. The fact that it was Wade's breakout series should make it all the more frustrating for Heat fans. It'd be one thing if that Wade performance was just a one-and-done showing. But that series is what sparked a Hall of Fame career from arguably the second-best shooting guard in league history. Can you imagine if someone tried to tear down one of Michael Jordan's legendary NBA Finals performances? It would be blasphemous for NBA fans. Why Wade? And why the Heat? Did Wade get a few superstar calls? Sure, but what superstar doesn't? The rigged narrative has run its course. It's time for Wade and that 2006 Heat team to get their deserved flowers. Giannis Antetokounmpo officially staying with the Milwaukee Bucks could be considered bad news for the Miami Heat. In reality, it's great news. Giannis just bought them more time to amass the assets necessary to make a real run at him if he ever becomes available. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, after a summer of exploring options, Giannis has no plans to request a trade from the Bucks. This is the outcome most expected. Even the Heat, who are blatantly pining after the two-time MVP, were bracing for it. Milwaukee's signing Giannis' older brother, Giannis Antetokounmpo, to a fully guaranteed deal merely confirmed what everyone has come to assume. Guess what? That's okay. Not only that, but this is the preferred outcome for Miami. The Heat still need to build up their assets. For argument's sake, let's say Giannis becomes available right now. Assuming the Bucks open up the bidding, Miami will not have anywhere near the best package. Owing the Charlotte Hornets a 2027 first-round pick, with lottery protection, is the biggest hang-up. The Heat cannot trade more than 2 first-round picks at this moment. Even if they throw all of Kel'el Ware, Jamie Jaquez Jr., Nikola Jovic, and Kasparas Jakušionis on the table, their top offer can't compete with others. Teams like the Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder, and San Antonio Spurs can include more appealing draft equity. Heck, Miami could struggle to match Giannis' trade offers coming from the Atlanta Hawks, Golden State Warriors, Toronto Raptors, and other potential suitors. Making up the draft pick difference with young players isn't an option. Whereas the type of blue-chip prospect others don't employ, but he's the Heat's only one. Jaquez or Jovic needs to have a breakout year to earn that billing. Jakušionis, meanwhile, has to get an actual NBA sample size under his belt. Miami can spend the next year getting more Giannis assets. Knowing Giannis plans to remain with Milwaukee through 2025-26 gives Miami an extended opportunity to strengthen its asset arsenal. The front office can look to stockpile additional first-rounders at the trade deadline, and equally critical, it lets players like Ware, Jaquez, Jovic, and Jakušionis time to increase their market value. Putting together a Giannis package over the 2026 offseason also permits the Heat to include more draft picks even if they don't acquire any extra ones. They can potentially dangle 4 first-rounders next June, their 2026 selection, when it's no longer a future pick, and conditional firsts in 2029, 2031, and 2033. That's a big difference compared to their best possible offer right now. Miami may still need Giannis' help in the end. Milwaukee will prefer other packages next summer if the Heat don't crack his wish list. But that only increases the value of the intervening season. Coming off a 37-win campaign, Miami now has the opportunity to show Giannis that it's on a brighter track. So no matter how you frame it, the latest update on his future gives the Heat exactly what they need to actualize their pipe dream: more time.